All right, we are going to be reviewing Bro Sidon, Cassidy, on Circuit Royale 6v6. Let me change my settings really quickly.
I prefer to work alone.
And turn down the volume, it's kind of loud. Okay, so Cassidy on Circuit Royale and on 6v6. So there's two different things to know here. On 6v6, Cassidy is less of a flank-oriented hero and more of a play main and land shots ambiently kind of hero. The reason why is if you take flanks more on Cassidy on 6v6, you're more likely to be met with somebody, aka a tank, and get your flank denied. So this is going to be a lot about placing a lot more emphasis on hitting shots, particularly headshots, and kind of winning from there. Also on Circuit Royale, this is going to be emphasized even more because there are no lanes to flank, and all of the lanes generally on Circuit Royale are either out of your range or awkwardly in your range. So like for example, on first point here, there's no flank for you, right? You're, other than walking up the staircase and shooting from this window, you don't really have options. You're stuck in main. Same way here, you have to come to this really wide angle here to shoot, and it's the same is true throughout the rest of the map. So ideally, you wouldn't play Cassidy on Circuit Royale. This is better suited for something like an Ashe or a Sojourn or a Widow or a Torb or a Hanzo or a Genji or literally anyone else, but you can make Cass work. This is actually good and actually pretty well disciplined. So I play this almost exactly the same. First fight always on Circuit Royale. I come to this mini room and I spam out the tank. And it's good that you don't come wide here. It's kind of, because if you come out wide here, you don't really have a lot of cover other than rolling back or trying to push forward. And pushing forward's not great here because of the Orisa. So this is a great play. Nice headshots. Yeah, I would. Yep. Okay, I definitely would be coming top right now. Come top and shoot from here, but this isn't bad either because you can punish the Doomfist. And then I would take a little bit of risk and I'd be coming wide here to deny the space from the enemy team. What I don't want to have happen mid-fight is the Doomfist coming wide here and looking for a slam on my backline. So I want to be here preemptively to deny the rotation. Okay, and you die because you're not using cover. So here's the problem. You come wide, you roll aggressively here, which you shouldn't do first of all. Let's rewatch it again. So we don't take the wide angle. Okay, cool. So we're gonna play main instead. But look how wide you are. Where's your nearest cover? Your nearest cover is behind you. I mean, I'm not sure you realize that you could use this. Because you don't, yeah, you move left instead, but you're just too far away from your nearest cover, right? You're depending on Ryan to use his shield, and you should never be in a position where you depend on your team to do something for it to be good. So I would be playing either, if I'm playing main instead of going wide, I'm going to be playing close to this wall here and spamming out and looking to go for a play like this wide, or I'm going to be playing closer to my Reinhardt and shooting Doomfist. But you're too wide right now. Especially here, this is just, you're just way too wide, and then you get double tap by enemy Cass. So that's just poor positioning. Okay. Great shots. We should be walking. Okay. This is fine. This is fine. Great. So one thing to know about Circle Royale second is this is a fight you really want to snowball generally. This is a lot like Gibraltar second. If you can stagger the enemy team, especially on spawns here, like if you can kill any one of these guys, it's going to make pushing second here a lot, like almost infinitely easier. And it becomes difficult for the enemy team to get momentum back, because if you can take all of this space, like that's on my camera right now, all this space up to basically this line here, you can, it's really hard for the enemy team to come out and push forward, right? Because you can shoot them in that entire rotation. But if you don't contest this space and you just sit cart, for example, and you give the enemy team all of this space, it's really hard for you because now you have to take this space, right? So you want to push the advantage here and you're doing it correctly. Okay, don't use roll. Don't use roll. I know you want ammo, but the problem is if they end up pushing you for whatever reason, you need roll. Roll gives you options. Here, now you don't have any options. And if they push you, your Ryan has a shield, you don't have any other damage mitigation. I wouldn't have rolled, but I think the Deadeye is generally okay. Your Ryan's kind of a moron. I wish he would pin in on this Weaver, but whatever. Not a big deal. And that forces tree. Now I'm rolling backwards. Yep. I'm getting even further out. Wow, that Orisa got obliterated. I'm getting out as far as possible. That's generally okay played. I wouldn't have done that first roll, but other than that, you're good. Okay, so on this, I know you're waiting for the Doomfist, but I would pretty much just anticipate that the Doomfist is gonna land on my Ana. That's typically what ends up happening. If you have an immobile backliner, Doomfists like to land on the immobile backliner. So it would have been on your BAP or on your Ana. Lands on your Ana, and yeah, you just can't take too much damage from the ulti. Honestly, I'm not gonna worry about this too much. Yeah. Okay, so I mean, you just needed to not drop, right? That's our symbol. Oh, that's actually enemy symbol. Never mind. For some reason, I thought blue team was us. Yeah, you kind of just gotta drop. I think this comes down to this angle isn't really that great for Cassidy. It's okay when the cart is here because you can use the cart as cover and you do have the drop option, which you use. But I tend to prefer this. The only reason like this kind of sucks right now is because you're playing against Doomfist Orisa. So either way, you're kind of just, you don't really have any great plays, which this is why this kind of comes into why Cassidy's not that great on this map. Is some of these angles are just really tough and you'll get stuffed on, right? Like here, it's kind of hard for you to take against two tanks that both have CC, right? This as well is not that great. I think you choose the better of the two options here. But I'm not sure there's anything you could have done this fight. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure there's anything really. I think the only other thing you could have done is played here. Because the thing is, if you're playing here, even if you're alone, you can bait out resources and live. Like you play here and you can roll down the staircase and you'll gain actually a ton of distance on anyone chasing you. But then you're open to punch, right? So that'd be my concern. So I don't know if you really have a play. You kind of just need ultis. Like, for example, right now, what I'd be thinking about with Deadeye is coming up this staircase and looking for a Deadeye here. I don't think you're gonna be able to kill anybody, but you'll be able to make space for your team. In an ideal world, your Widow swaps here. Yeah, she's still Widow. Wow, that's unlucky. How do we actually... Yeah, that's just, honestly, I'm not worried about that. That's just a tad unlucky. You get hit by anti and a sim orb. Great kill. Okay, so this is a situation where, look, you roll forward. Okay, to like make up distance, basically. But imagine you had a roll right there. I don't know if you would have had the perfect timing and to be able to use actually roll flash. But if you had a roll right there, that could have been a sim kill. And this is just an example of how you really want to be as greedy with roll as possible when it comes to using it and not using it. You're already up one. You're already super far behind. Rolling forward here, I don't think it's going to make a big difference on whether you make it or not. But I'm not saying you made the wrong play in rolling there, but it's just one thing to be conscious of whenever you're playing Cassidy, because roll is it's your most important cooldown, right? So you just got to be very, very conscious of how you use it. That, like, for example, that's a fantastic roll. This guy's really deep. You headshot him and it's easy to follow up for the kill. This is a great roll, right? You can tell how obviously tangible that roll is. Okay, we're up. We should be pushing the advantage right now. Okay, that's fine. I wouldn't have broken the pedal, but it's not a big deal. I'm setting up for a Deadeye. I'm setting up for a Deadeye play here. So I'm going to come left side or super far left. Either one, I kind of just read the room. If this Doomfist slams in, I'm coming wide and I'm popping Deadeye and living. It's so important that you live to bait attention and make it where they can't touch. You can also just play main and shoot Doomfist. Either one works. Okay, I wouldn't have done that. So how you play the Doom matchup is something I've been studying recently. So how you play the Doom matchup is you need it. It revolves around Doomfist block. So the one thing about Doomfist block compared to other tanks like Hazard and Ram is that Doomfist block is a cooldown, not a resource. So what you need is you need Doomfist to use block and then you use your cooldowns. So in this situation, so that's broadly on the matchup. When it comes to Deadeye, you basically never want to Deadeye when Doomfist is looking directly at you, unless you intend to roll or you're really far away. Like, for example, Deadeye, this is an obvious punch going to come out of the Doomfist. Like, I would anticipate this punch 80% of the time. You need to cancel or shoot immediately or cancel and roll. But you shoot too late and you get stunned. It didn't end up mattering, but it's just something to be conscious of in the Doomfist matchup, right? If he's looking at you, you need to cancel your Deadeye generally. Also, that flashed a little bit early, but flashing the Doomfist on his ulti is just experience, honestly. Yeah, but like Deadeye would have been good here if you had it. I'm coming top, I'm wrapping. So your end goal as Cassidy on this point is to come here in this situation and fight them here, or go for this super long rotation and get a flank. Playing main is not really that great just because of how the ranges work out on this map. Like, you can kind of feel that this isn't that great for you, right? Like, you missed the play of going up top here and getting this angle. But also, the only way they deal with you is through if you get Cass headshot or Doomfist engaged on. So now we're just stuck in main and there's just not a lot of great plays here other than just shoot, right? And we don't really want to be in that type of situation. Great shots. Nice job. So one thing to mention on heroes where the shield is a cooldown, so Ram and Orisa when she has the shield perk, generally I try not to fan the hammer the shield if I don't have to, because it's not expensive for them. I only really fan the hammer when it's like we need to kill it to kill somebody, or we need it for the immediate pressure. I'm not saying you do this like incorrectly here. Like, I'll always fan the hammer on Monkey Bubble because Monkey's kit is so revolved around that. But especially people like Ram, like Orisa, I'd rather honestly save the ammo, just left click it and be able to shoot them after it expires. Like in this case, you know, it's fine because whenever you break shield, it forces Orisa out. But there are situations where breaking the shield is largely inconsequential of the state of the fight. It's great. It's another situation where you need to not roll. So I understand you get this kill and it's like, okay, we can take a lot of space here, but rolling here in 2 and 20 games will get you killed because it's just not good. What distance are you gaining that's tangible for the fight outcome? None. really. Like if we're going to roll at all, we're not rolling forward into closer into the fight. We're gonna roll wider and look for this rotation, because by the time we need roll again, it's gonna be here and it'll be off cooldown. But whenever you're rolling toward threats, you open yourself up to get punished. This is a bad roll because you're the first guy forward. Yeah, and you're doing it into a Doomfist as well. So you get lucky here, but you know, that's another thing you're gonna get punished for over time. See, and this is where this rotation would have been helpful, because right now there's you have a Widow high ground, but if you were up here, you could go for this punish on Ana, you could go for this punish on Lifeweaver, you can go for generally a good flank play. I just don't really like playing main because you'll get stuffed and there's not a lot for you to shoot. I mean, you can shoot tank, but is this really the highest impact position you have on the map right now? No. I mean, it's okay. It's not like you're going AFK, but I just don't think it's better. I think in this situation, it's largely okay because you're playing Widow and she's up here, but I would have been here before the Widow, so my Widow could just play main, right? Because this is not that much better of an angle for Widow than this is. Widow, you know, Widow can figure. I don't even know how to play Widow, to be honest with you, but I would be selfish and take the angle myself. Yeah, and then we lose, right? It's not that this fight was winnable from here, but you could have found a play going for something up here. Like, you could have took the game into your own hands by going up here. This is kind of like the I hope something happens type of play by just standing in main. That window is also really bad. You need to make it closer to you guys. Yeah, and then you just get pushed out. Yeah, that's the problem. Like, also another thing about this is if you're going to play here, whoops, you need to mark this lane by playing here and make it expensive to take this. But nobody on your team ends up playing this mini room. Like here, for example, when you're just sitting in main, you could have played with your Ana and shot this guy. Oh, and then shot Sim, and then saw the Orisa and rotated out, and you would have had better awareness to that and not died to it. But because you just play main, you don't get any information, you don't get any value, and you're not able to take any initiative to make a play to win. So that whole third fight there just came down to your macro wasn't good. Okay. This is good. Pretty much just as a heads up, for third point attack, you almost always want to come out this room, because it's the easiest way to take no damage as you push through choke. If you come this way, obviously you're going to take poke, but if you come this way, it's a lot harder. So great job. Okay, he needed to die. So what happened here mechanically? Okay, so you're a micro flicker. So I think you actually mentioned this in the Reddit post. Let me actually pull that up real quick. Okay, you say in the Reddit post. So I'm in a weird spot right now. This is regarding to aiming. I am a flick heavy Cassidy player, and I know that's usually how you're supposed to use him, but I almost always just play that way. I'm having a lot of success with it. I have a 21% crit accuracy on 41 hours this season, but I'll switch from flicking to more of a predictive aiming, where I'll hold the crosshair expecting them to cross in certain spots, like going to cover or other spots. What would you recommend I do? Continue improving on my flicks or work more on predictive aiming? Regards to my positioning, that is the thing I have lots of issues with, and also ult usage from what I've seen myself, but maybe you see something else. Would love the help, thank you. So, what I've been watching so far and seeing from your gameplay is more of, yes, your ult usage is not that great. Your micro is generally good enough. Like, you're at the point where your flicky aiming is not that big an issue. Sometimes it's to your detriment, like here, for example. Like, watch. You actually have good crosshair placement, but then you flick. You go for another flick again. You have good crosshair placement, but look, why are you flicking to the left here? Like, this guy needed to die. We need to hit one more shot. But anyway, how I don't think this micro flicky aim you have is good. I don't think it's good. If you watch pretty much any pro Cassidy, it's smoother. It's flicky, but not in the sense of being flicky like this. Like he'll flick to the head and shoot. You do this weird thing where you like almost flick after you shoot. Like watch. So shoot like weird adjustment. Shoot weird adjustment. So I think I don't know what you're doing here. It's more of like you're tensing your fingers and it's moving your mouse than it is like you're flicking to the head. Like, yeah, you're flicking after you're shooting. I don't know if you noticed that, but watch it again. Shot, flick, shot. Like you're adjusting where the crosshair is afterwards. You're not actually flicking before. Okay, so whoops, didn't mean to do that. So you come out wide here and you fight this Cassidy, and this kind of goes into what you mentioned at the very beginning of the VOD, which is you tend to have a flicking aim style, but this is an example of I don't think you actually do have a flicking aim style. Like look at this. You shoot him and then you flick afterwards. Shoot, flick afterwards, adjustment. Shoot, flick afterwards, adjustment. And you're like trying to predict, you know he's gonna move left, so you're like subconsciously predicting that he'll move left with your next shot, but you're not actually flicking before you shoot. So let's just watch it again. Every single shot here, it was like a flick afterwards. So I think what this really came down to is you're just not aiming head level and you don't get a headshot and then he lives. Like, look. Yeah, you just kind of moved. You're just not really aiming head level. Like to improve stuff like this, it's just reps. This is honestly just a reps type situation. I would go into Vaxta or Thanks 8 and just aim head level as much as you can. Try to click consciously aim for the head and then think about your movements with your hand. So how I typically train on Vaxta and Thanks 8, if I'm not warming up, but I'm actually training, is I don't listen to music, I don't listen to podcasts, I don't listen to anything. I have the game volume turned down and I focus on try to consciously think about my hand movement and I aim head level and aim for the head. And I need to, when I'm aiming for the head, what I mean by that is I actively focus on the target's head and I try to click when my mouse is on the head. Okay, I wanted to clarify what I meant by aiming head level. You have a very flick heavy playstyle, as we've seen throughout the VOD. Here's what you're doing. So, you know, you're looking at this Widow, for example. You're doing a movement like this to the head, right? You're tracking and then moving up, moving like this to the head, which, you know, I have no experience with, so of course I'm absolutely horrendous. But, you know, it has some mild success for you, right? Because you're just used to this. What you really need so the problem with this kind of aim style, where you're aiming center mass and flicking like this, is you have this tendency, if you watch the VOD, of flicking diagonally, right, on both the vertical and the horizontal axis, right? So I'll be aiming at this, you know, let's just look at Roadhog because he's not moving. You're moving something like this pretty consistently, right? Aiming center mass, flick to the head, flick to the head, flick to the head, flick to the head. The problem with this is you add 2 margins of error to your mouse movement, right? For example, if I'm flicking the way you are, like this, notice I'm moving up and to the left. What ideal aim would be left and right, left and right, left and right, up and down, up and down, up and down. Something like that, right? There's not very much up and down in Overwatch, but like how whenever I aim train, for example, or I do my training, and I'm shooting someone like this Kiriko, I'm aiming head level and flicking to the right according to where I think she might be, right? And aiming accordingly. Or I wait till she enters my crosshair, either one. It's just going to depend on the type of situation. Well, I'm not warm at all. I've been editing all day. But this aim style will be easier to train long term and will help you win more duels, right? Because if you're consistently aiming, flicking up, like you might be for something like a Genji, it's going to be, if you do that for every single target unnecessarily, it's going to make everything way harder, right? So if you just, like even on this Pharah, I was doing horizontal flicks. As many horizontal flicks as I can on that. And it makes training a lot more consistent and easier because you're now controlling for one variable of your aim rather than two, right? No more the vertical and the horizontal, just the horizontal component of your aim. It makes everything else easier. Well, I'm not warm. But if you're confident in your aim, I recommend you use this code, thanks 8, as you can see in the top left here. You can also use Vaxta, but I don't really recommend Vaxta personally, because if you're skilled in Vaxta, these strafes are a lot wider. Like Soldier would be going a lot wider than turning around, but in Vaxta it's a lot shorter. I'm gonna make a comprehensive aim guide in the future about how to train as Cassidy, but I just wanted to add this now because it's particularly relevant to this VOD. If you want to know like good numbers for how to train on this code in particular, I will add a brief screenshot here on my progress. I don't know exactly what would be good for right now, but just something to bridge the gap between this VOD and when I publish an aim guide. You can use my numbers for now. But that's how I would kind of think about aiming. There's not like a concrete right answer because everyone's going to have mixed results when it comes to aiming, but that's my approach to improving. And when it comes to like what you're calling quote unquote predictive aiming, which is setting your crosshair at a certain spot and hoping to strafe into it. Like for example, like let's say you shot too early here, but if let's say you left your crosshair there and you hoped he strafed into it, that's pretty normal aim style and is something you should actively be doing. I think like optimal Cassidy gameplay kind of depends on stuff like that. It's like hoping they strafe right, or not really hoping, but anticipating the strafe. Because like in this example, the only cover he had was to the left. It'd be pretty normal to assume that he's going to strafe left at some point and get the headshot there. So of course, you know, I'm not an aim expert, an aim scientist by any means, but that's my advice on that. Don't drop. Dropping is I think it's pretty obvious why like dropping is bad here. You know, staying up top lets you be able to flank the back line, but dropping here you just you force resources. I don't think you meant to do that. Or if you if you did it, you realized actively afterwards that it was bad. Good. This is good. You just kind of... How do we... Yeah, you just needed to hear the Cassidy. You needed to hear these guys and understand that you needed to rotate to the left side of the pillar. But honestly, I don't think this play's that bad. I understood what you were doing. Alright, whatever. You needed to win that fight before where you didn't take an angle and you just played main. Okay. So on this point, on first point defense on this map, I play, and this is probably particularly true in 6v6, I try to play up here if my tank is. If my tank is sitting up here, I never play on the floor. I always play this high ground, and I look to drop off this corner and play here as much as I can. It's more about living. Cassidy is obviously not optimal on defense circuit royale first. It's just not, you don't have great range, there's not a lot of good cover. You're going to get... If they play Widow, you're screwed. If they play Ashe, you're screwed. If they play Sojourner, you're screwed. So it's just a matter of living and not throwing. It's gonna be what it comes down to. Okay, you're the furthest guy forward. You need to rotate out. Yeah, so you don't rotate fast enough. So you should realize. You see your Rhine pin backwards, you see him shield, you see your Orisa back up, you're stuck behind this cover, your roll just came off cooldown. I'm rolling right now. It's already too late, honestly, like you should have been rotated already, but I'm rolling out this way and then trying to make it back to cover here, but you just rotate out too late is what this comes down to. And I wouldn't have died here because at the very beginning, I would play up, but I have a subconscious understanding that this point is all about not dying. It's all about not dying, not throwing a fight. So yeah, so I would have subconsciously rotated out earlier. Yeah. Oh well.
No one can resist us.
Okay, so this is improper Doom matchup. So even if you wanted to go for the flash here, it's wrong. Because here's the thing. If you did flash him, he still has block. So he would just block your Fan the Hammer and get punch again for free. So the only time you should be flashing Doomfist, really, is if he's in the middle of an animation, like a punch animation or a slam animation, it's okay to flash. Or after he blocks. Keep in mind, Doomfist block is not a resource, it's a cooldown. So after the cooldown is gone, throw a flash, he's actually cooked. He's actually cooked afterwards. You can also time it like a Genji matchup, where you can time it like halfway through his block. But I try to do it after the block because he gets punch charge from flash. He gets like half his meter. So you got to be really careful. Also, really good heads up to roll through the Doomfist here. This is really another good job. This is something that comes up a lot in Doomfist matchups, as well as sometimes Tracer matchups, a lot in Genji matchups, is sometimes your best option is actually to roll through them. And see how you actually break his ankles. Look, watch it from his perspective. See, yeah, there's no way he's winning that after you roll through him. So great job rolling through him there. Yeah, we just don't have cover. You have the right idea, but we have no cover. So like, for example, this whole fight, you can do the same thing from right here. Do the same thing from right here. Same thing from right here. But yeah, that's the only thing. And because you're not there, you take a bunch of poke throughout the entire fight, and then you force lamp here, and you die. No, but you force lamp. That's the only other thing. Alright, let's look at this aim again. Bro, like, I don't think the flick thing is it. Like, if you just aim head level, it's just... The problem with this flick kind of aim is you're just betting that your subconscious muscle adjustment is going to get the headshot. But honestly, all you have to do, aim head level, and then just click the button when they walk in your crosshair. Like, it's really just that simple. I think it's bad habit. I think you need to iron it out. Yeah, like look, you hit more headshots when you just stop flicking. Look. Flick, no headshot, flick, no headshot. You stop moving and it's so much simpler. So this is a situation where the flick is fine, because here's the thing. They're on an uneven surface, aka the stairs, and you don't know. It's kind of, you know, you think she's gonna move forward, but it's not entirely obvious. So you aim center mass and try to flick to where she's going, which is fine. This is a situation where it's fine, but situations where it's like even ground, and like for example, when you were up here. Like you're at very similar elevations. You should really just aim head level and track and try to predict where he's moving instead of just straight up flicking. Like this, I think is makes a lot more sense for micro adjustments. Yeah. What actually goes wrong? Your Bastion dies. That's crazy. Good job. That flash misses, which sucks. Yeah, you needed to not wake him up there. Because you get punched and then you're dead. Oh well. This is not a good Deadeye. I think you thought they were pushed up further. Wow, that guy's throwing. It's not the end of the world. It's not a terrible Deadeye. It's not terrible. I would have waited for like a more obvious opportunity, like if they use window, I can Deadeye around the corner, type of situation. Or they don't have map. Like if they use wall, I can Deadeye around the corner type situation. But like, it's okay. I'm not gonna nitpick it. It's all good. It's all great. Let's actually watch the mechanics on the headshots. So, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't do this personally, but I mean, if you find success with it, then sure. Like, I just think it's easier to aim head level and track the head than it is to do that. All this is fine. It's a good roll. Oh man, that sucks. How could we have won this fight? There's another situation where like Cass is just not. The reason this feels tough is because Cass is just not a good pick here. Like honestly, is what this comes down to. Like if you were Ashe, you just sit here on Ashe and you're like you can't get a headshot really. It's really hard to kill you, get you out here. Like your Hanzo's here, but for you, it's just awkward as Cassidy. There's not a lot to be done, other than just shoot. No plays to be made. Like Ashe gets like so much free ambient pressure from just existing on this point. So does Sojourn. That's a good roll, by the way. I like that. I actually like the roll because you wouldn't be able to kill him either way, or otherwise. Sorry. Like, shot, roll just to confirm it because he might get out of you otherwise. I'm down for that. Yeah, we're just a little close, but it's hard to read in the middle of the fight. Okay. So I would not be coming out bottom here. So one thing that Cass is really good at is once you respawn, you spawn in this room, come out this left door up the staircase and play here because it gives you this play. And this fight is really good for Cassidy. This is like a 60-70% winning play on Cassidy generally if it's a 1v1. You also have this, and you're also out of spam range, because the one thing the enemy team doesn't want in this fight is for people to be everywhere, because this is really hard to deal with if there's someone there and someone here and someone on the floor and someone on the floor. That's really hard to deal with. What's really easy to deal with is if the only thing is the enemy team is here, because they can take space systematically. Like they can take this space and then kill you guys this way, right? Like, so coming out the floor is not ideal. It opens you up to a lot of poke, but most importantly, there's no play to be made here. There's no play to be made on the floor, right? The only thing you can do is shoot 10. This Deadeye is not good. The problem with this Deadeye is, what are you zoning? You zone them off main, okay, but they wanted to rotate into that room anyway, right? So you actually make your Roadhog's life harder, because your Roadhog is trying to... He gets his hook. He's shooting this Cassidy. You Deadeye, and you force now all of them to rotate here. So now he can't even contest them because there's 4 people in that room. So this is just objectively a bad Deadeye. You know what would have been a good Deadeye? Come up here and you do it here. You would have caught the sim. You would have maybe caught them in rotation and being able to pull the trigger early, right? Like that would have been a way better play. But this Deadeye is just not good. That jab is silly. That's a good heads up to actually look for the Doom, but you're a little too far away to be able to deal with that. Yeah, you need to fight this Cass. Oh man. Look at this. Look at this. Okay, so we fight the Cass. Damn, that wasn't a headshot? That's crazy. Okay, but look. That's the predictive aim you're talking about. And that's the kind of aim you really need, honestly. Because this should be winning. I know it looks tough, but honestly, you can 2-tap him here. This is a 2-tap. Bam, bam. Damn, you just gotta adjust your mouse a little bit. Honestly, I wouldn't worry about that one too much. That's just a little bit unfortunate. If you 2-tapped him there, that's game winning. But you win this fight anyway. Oof, oof, let's look at this. So 2 problems. You do the adjustment things you're talking about. It's like flickiness, and you're holding W key here. So the problem is, if you look at this from the Weaver's point of view, look. Notice how little he has to move his crosshair. This is bad movement from you as well. He doesn't have to move his crosshair at all because you're walking forward the whole time. So if you're like, you needed to stay behind the cart. Of course, it's a lot more awkward for you, but you needed to stay behind the cart and walk left and right and try to dodge his projectiles. But you almost die there. This is good. So you need to be here. The only thing is you need to be here earlier. Do they TP up there? They might actually TP up there. Yeah, they do. Okay, well. But playing up top here is generally good as Cass. Because this staircase is very friendly to rotate out. Yep. Yeah, you needed to... Honestly, I don't even know what the right play is there. I think this is like probably fine, because what are you going to do with the tree up? Yeah, so hold on. The one thing here is... you know what? That flash is probably fine. That's fine. I'm going up top. Yeah, you missed this top rotation here. Oh my god, that's actually so good. So this is why, man, I wish they didn't really remove past noon. I love Deadeye like this. Pop Deadeye, make them acknowledge you, totally unswing, totally unswing. Yep, and just stand here. It's actually so good if you just stand there. It's also good that you do this because the only person shooting you is Orisa. But if you, I honestly would have been so down if you just held noon from around the pillar. Okay, this bad Doom matchup again. You want to flash him after he punches for this exact reason. So look. Or sorry, you want to flash him after he blocks. Sorry, just for clarification. So he punches in. If you can flash him here, I'm down for that as well. But like, let's be real, most cast players are not flashing this. You turn, you hit the shot, you flash fan. He is always going to anticipate you flash fan. He's always going to anticipate that. So pops block immediately. Now he has empowered punch. A good Doom kills you here, but he gets up. So just keep in mind, you want to flash after block or in block. Almost always. That's how you're going to kill Doomfist. Yeah. Honestly, man, I don't know. I think it just comes down to you just need to rotate. Like, staying here is perfectly fine. Bam, 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 bam. Like, why do we feel like we need to go wide here? The Orissa's there. Like, you can still see the Orissa from where you were. Like, you can still see her. Like, just coming out wide is just throw. It's bad. I would have much, if you feel like you needed to move, you needed to come here and like try to shoot Weaver or something. Like, this is just not good. That rotation is just unnecessary and it gets you killed. I understand trying to kill the Cass. I mean, if literally anybody shot Cass, you guys would have killed him. But you could have just avoided that entirely by playing on the right side still. And you guys lose, I think. Yeah, you actually threw that last fight, unfortunately. But all in all, this has been a little bit all over the place. I don't really have a concrete answer for you on the aim thing. I'm not knowledgeable enough to be able to give like expert advice on how the best way to aim is on Cassidy. I need to study it more. I have the hunch that this micro flicking is a bad habit. I do think it is. I feel like there's situations where it's not particularly helpful and actually generally detrimental to you. There's been a few 1v1s in here where if you just had more disciplined, smoother aim, as in aim at head level and focus on click timing, you would be more successful. But over 100 games, will it actually make a big difference? I don't know the answer to that. I think where we went wrong on this map in particular is nothing to do with mechanics and is more to do with finding plays that are going to be big impact and actually put the game into your hands, right? Like, we needed to make a rotation up here at some point on the attack, but we ended up just playing main. We never looked to contest a lot of lanes. Like, we didn't really contest this lane much at all. On second, I think you played second generally pretty well. I would have liked to see you take this angle at least once. We don't even try it, which I think is a mistake. And on first defense, you needed to play more passive and roll out quicker, and we get caught here. We're actually the reason we lost this, really. And on attack, otherwise, I think your attack on first and second were fine. It was more of a defense issue. But other than that, I hope this VOD was helpful and gives you some stuff to work on. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a great day.